Every winter, our social media feeds light up with dramatic weather maps, swirls of deep purple and electric blue, painting a picture of extreme cold gripping vast regions. These images are instantly shareable, grabbing attention with their bold colors and urgent captions. They often go viral, sparking conversations and sometimes even panic about the latest polar vortex event. But what are these maps really showing us, and why do they look so intense? Many of these viral maps warn of the polar vortex being unleashed by melting Arctic ice, suggesting a direct link between climate change and sudden, severe winter weather. Headlines and posts often claim that as the Arctic warms and sea ice disappears, the polar vortex weakens, allowing frigid air to spill southward into our cities. The story seems straightforward. Climate change melts sea ice, the polar vortex destabilizes, and icy blasts invade our neighborhoods. It's a narrative that's easy to understand and dramatic enough to spread quickly online. But is it really that simple? It's a powerful image, but the real science behind these events is far more complex and nuanced than a single map or headline can capture. Meteorologists and climate scientists spend years analyzing data, running sophisticated models and debating the many factors that influence our weather. While it's true that the Arctic is warming at an alarming rate, the direct connection between melting sea ice and any particular cold snap in your city is still a topic of active research and debate. Some studies suggest a possible link, but others find the relationship to be weak or inconsistent. The science is evolving and there's still much we don't fully understand. The behavior of the polar vortex is influenced by a complex web of factors: atmospheric circulation patterns, ocean temperatures, jet stream dynamics, and even random weather variability. Sea ice loss is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, and it's not always the most important one. Sensational headlines and viral posts often skip over these nuances, favoring simple explanations that fit into a tweet or a flashy graphic. But truly understanding our changing climate and the wild weather it can bring means embracing uncertainty, complexity, and the ongoing search for answers. Climate change is real, and the Arctic is warming faster than anywhere else on Earth. But the connection between Arctic warming and your local deep freeze isn't always as direct as those viral maps suggest. Sometimes the coldest days are just part of natural weather swings, not a sign of a broken climate system. So next time you see a dramatic weather map lighting up your feed, remember, there's a fascinating, complicated story behind those colors. Let's dig deeper and uncover what's really happening behind those viral weather maps. The polar vortex isn't a storm, it's a vast, spinning pool of cold air high above the Arctic, surrounded by a powerful jet stream. When strong, this jet stream locks frigid air over the pole, keeping winters milder for much of North America and Europe. But the vortex is dynamic, shaped by atmospheric waves and energy from below. The Arctic's geography, an ocean ringed by continents, makes its vortex more prone to disruption than the Antarctic's. That's why northern winters are so variable. The polar vortex's strength can shift week to week, making it a key player in our winter weather drama. Understanding its behavior is crucial to predicting extreme cold events. The polar vortex is a vast, swirling mass of cold air that sits high above the Arctic, acting like a barrier that keeps frigid temperatures locked in the far north. But this barrier isn't always stable. When the polar vortex weakens, it can stretch, distorting its usual circular shape and allowing cold air to escape its confines. Sometimes, this stretching becomes so extreme that the vortex actually splits apart, breaking into two or more swirling centers. These fragments can send blasts of Arctic air far to the south, reaching places that are usually much milder in winter. Stretching events like the Texas freeze in 2021 pull the vortex into an elongated shape, letting Arctic air spill into lower latitudes. This can lead to dramatic temperature drops and severe winter storms, catching communities off guard and straining power grids and infrastructure. Even more rarely, sudden stratospheric warming, known as SSW, can occur. During an SSW, temperatures in the stratosphere above the Arctic can rise by 50 degrees Fahrenheit or more in just a few days. This rapid warming disrupts the polar vortex, sometimes shattering it into smaller pieces and sending prolonged cold spells to different regions across the northern hemisphere. These dramatic disruptions begin high above the Earth, in the stratosphere, and it can take days or even weeks for their effects to reach the surface. But when they do, the impacts can be widespread. leading to unusual weather patterns and extended periods of cold. Meteorologists and climate scientists closely monitor the polar vortex and the stratosphere for early signs of stretching, splitting, or sudden warming. These signals serve as crucial early warnings, helping forecasters prepare for potential deep freezes and severe winter weather events. Stretching and splitting events have different underlying causes. Stretching is often linked to changes in the Arctic, such as melting sea ice or shifts in atmospheric circulation, while SSWs are typically driven by natural cycles in the atmosphere, like waves of energy moving upward from the lower atmosphere. By distinguishing between these types of disruptions, scientists can better understand how climate change might be influencing our winters. This knowledge is vital for improving seasonal forecasts and for predicting how extreme cold events may change in the future. Not every cold snap is created equal. Some are brief and intense, while others linger for weeks, affecting millions of people and causing significant economic and social impacts. Understanding the type of polar vortex disruption is crucial, not just for accurate weather forecasting, but also for advancing climate research and helping society adapt to a changing world. The idea that melting Arctic sea ice weakens the polar vortex and causes cold snaps in places far from the Arctic has captured the public imagination. It's a theory that's often repeated in news stories and on social media, but the science behind it is far from settled. The relationship between melting ice and extreme winter weather is complex, and researchers are still working to fully understand it. Some climate models suggest that as Arctic sea ice disappears, the polar vortex, a swirling mass of cold air high above the North Pole, can become weaker and more unstable. This instability might allow frigid Arctic air to spill southward, bringing unusually cold weather to regions like North America, Europe, and Asia. However, other models and studies show little to no effect, or even suggest that the polar vortex could become stronger as the climate warms. The scientific community is divided, and the evidence is not yet conclusive. The atmosphere is a chaotic system, influenced by countless factors beyond just ice. Ocean currents, solar cycles, volcanic eruptions, and even distant weather patterns all play a role in shaping our climate and weather extremes. What is clear is that the Arctic is warming much faster than the rest of the planet, a phenomenon known as Arctic amplification. This rapid warming is causing dramatic changes in sea ice cover, which in turn affects local ecosystems and global climate patterns. But when it comes to directly linking melting Arctic ice to the cold snap you might feel in your city, the connection is still uncertain. Weather is influenced by a web of interacting forces, and pinning down a single cause is challenging. Scientists around the world are actively studying these links, using advanced models, satellite data, and historical records to untangle the puzzle. Each year brings new insights, but also new questions. The honest answer is that the link between melting ice and extreme cold events is plausible, but not yet proven. It's a fascinating area of research, and one that's evolving rapidly. What we do know for certain is that climate change is real, and it's reshaping our planet in profound ways. But its precise impact on the polar vortex and winter weather patterns is still being mapped out by scientists. So, while the story is more complicated than social media headlines suggest, ongoing research will help us better understand how a warming Arctic might influence the weather where you live. Where Arctic sea ice melts matters just as much as how much of it melts overall. Loss in the Barents and Kara Seas, north of Europe and Russia, can disrupt the polar vortex, sending cold air southward, but melting near Alaska and Siberia may actually work to strengthen the vortex instead. Different regions produce different atmospheric waves, each with opposite and unique effects. This regional sensitivity helps explain why climate models sometimes disagree with each other. The future of the polar vortex may depend on a tug-of-war between Atlantic and Pacific Arctic changes. Understanding these subtle nuances is a frontier in climate science today. Beyond sea ice, the atmosphere itself has its own set of fascinating rhythms and cycles. Natural atmospheric cycles like the quasi-biennial oscillation, or QBO, play a huge role in polar vortex behavior and its changes. The QBO's shifting winds over the equator can make the vortex more or less stable, depending on their phase and strength. This, in turn, influences the odds of disruption in the polar vortex. Internal variability, random atmospheric noise, also drives year-to-year changes in the vortex's behavior. Many observed vortex shifts still fall within natural variability, not just climate change or human influence. These powerful cycles remind us that not every cold snap is a sign of a warming world or a changing climate. The challenge is teasing apart natural atmospheric rhythms from the signals of human-driven change. Another twist. Autumn snow cover in Siberia may predict winter cold snaps better than sea ice loss alone. Melting ice exposes warm ocean, fueling evaporation and heavy Siberian snowfall. This snow reflects sunlight, cooling the land and building dense cold air masses. These high-pressure systems send waves upward, stretching the polar vortex and triggering cold outbreaks. In this view, it's the snow, sparked by melting ice, that delivers the punch to the vortex. This snow-first theory helps explain why some cold events are closely tied to Arctic change. Earth's systems are deeply interconnected. Ice, ocean, land, and air all shape our weather. The polar vortex story is complex, full of competing theories, regional differences, and natural cycles, all set against a warming planet. Scientific uncertainty isn't a weakness, it's a sign of rigorous inquiry. When you see dramatic climate claims online, ask if they tell the whole story. Respect the science, including its uncertainties. The basics are clear. The planet is warming, humans are the cause, and the Arctic is changing fast. The details, like the polar vortex's future, are still unfolding. Stay curious and informed. Real science is more fascinating than any viral headline. Understanding our climate means embracing its complexity and our role in shaping its future.